Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Religiously Fit. So today we'll be talking about the chapter 8, that is physiological assessments of the ACE Personal Trainer Manual edition 5. So guys, we'll be discussing very brand new topics in this chapter, and maybe there are some chances that you find some of the topics or content overwhelming. So don't worry, you can reach out to me on my Instagram ID, and that is same as YouTube, Religiously Fit, or otherwise you can drop in your questions and concerns in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer those. So based on the feedback which I got from the earlier videos for this same ACE series, that people are finding those videos quite lengthy. So I'll try to finish the video within 20 minutes, and within that 20 minutes I'll try to push as much information as I can. So okay, so we'll start with the first topic of this chapter, which is methods of measuring body compositions. So there are various methods like bioelectrical impedance analysis, dual energy X-ray, absorptiometry, hydrostatic weighing, magnetic resonance imaging, skin fold measurement, near infrared interactance, whole body air displacement. So there are various methods, as I said, but few of them are very popular in gym settings. Like the most popular is skin fold measurement, in which they have a device with which they measure the width, measures the thickness of your fat in various body parts. I'll be discussing that very briefly. Okay. So other tests are also important. It's not that they are not that much important with respect to exam, but you can go through the definition that is mentioned in the book, and I'll also recite few of them. Like bioelectrical impedance analysis is electrical signals are passed through fat, lean mass, and water in the body. It is not very much accurate for obese clients. Dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, it's most accurate, and in this a low dose of X-ray is passed through the body. It is mostly found in the clinical settings like in university or research centers. Okay, then hydrostatic weighing, it is a gold standard method used in this body identifying the body composition, and it is the underwater weighing. The body is entirely submerged into water, and then it is weighed, and then finally it is calculated using some formulas, but it is not very much popular in gym settings. Okay, and MRI, which you have, I think you have known this term, magnetic resonance imaging. It uses magnetic field to assess fat and storage in person, but this is done in a medical setting, like in hospitals and all, not normally in gyms. Okay, so what are those places in which we, as a personal trainer, we try to find the body fat? Those places are different for men and women. For men, we check the body fat on the chest, like as I said, the skin fold measurement. There's a device which traps your skin, which holds your skin in between, and then with the measurement, the scale on that device, you are able to know how much is the fat. So for men, it is on the chest, thigh, and supralium. Supralium is near the iliac crest region. That is this. What do you call this? Oh man, near the iliac crest. This region. I'll show you this region. This very region, the bone you can see. So there also they check in men. So these are the three places. This is very important with respect to exam. And for women, they check on the triceps, like they hold the fat here, on the thigh, and again on the okay, I'm sorry, for that supralium was for the women, this bone thing. Okay, but for men it is the navel. Instead of supralium, that is iliac crest, it is the navel. Okay, for men. Okay, so what are the methods for measuring body size? That is BMI, height, weight, waist to hip ratio, and okay, so these are the common. Like there are other few, but the list is very long. So the main popular methods of measuring body size is BMI, height, weight, waist to hip ratio. Okay, okay. So what are the recommended ranges for waist to hip ratio? For males, it should be less than 0.85 up to 0.89. And for females, it is less than 0.75 up to 0.79. This is again exam with respect to exam. This is important. And if the male waist to hip ratio is more than 0.95, it comes in the risk category. And for females, more than 0.86, it's risk. Okay, so there are two kinds of body shape. One is android and the second is gynoid. Android is apple shaped, in which the main fat is in the abdominal area. This is more risky. And this visceral fat contributes, basically this fat is called visceral fat, and it causes insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, which is also called I'm sorry, excuse me, which is also called hypercholesterolemia. Okay, and the second is dynod, which is pear shaped, which is in the lower body. Okay, so coming to the next topic, which is cardiorespiratory fitness test. How many tests are there for measuring the cardiorespiratory fitness? There are quite a few. I think I have written down in my notes 4 types of tests. The first is cycle ergometer test, which is the YMCA bike test. You have to just remember the names first of all. I know these can be overwhelming because each and everything is new in this chapter for you, because we haven't covered any of these things in the last 7 chapters. But trust me, guys, it's not that tough. Once you start habituated listening to these names, and then it will be very, very easy. It's not that tough. But first time, obviously, it will look like kind of tricky. So for measuring the cardiorespiratory fitness, the first is cycle ergometer test, which is in which YMCA bike test comes. The second is ventilator threshold test, under which 2 types of test comes: submaximal talk test for ventilatory threshold 1 and ventilatory threshold 2 threshold test. The third is field test, which is associated to ventilatory threshold 2 test. Under this field test, there comes 2 tests. One is Rockport fitness walking test, and the second is 1.5 mile test, which is also called run test. And the fourth cardiorespiratory fitness test is called as step test, which is also called as YMCA submaximal step test. I'll discuss them briefly, don't worry. Okay. So moving to the next topic, how do we measure the muscular fitness? So there are also tests for that. So for measuring muscular fitness, there are actually 3 categories for measuring the muscular fitness. The first is muscular endurance test. Okay. So there can be 3 main categories under muscular endurance test. First is push-up test. Second is curl-up test, that is crunches. Third is body weight squat test. Okay, so if someone is doing the push-up test or body weight squat test, so the number of reps they do, it defines the endurance of the muscles. Okay, so I have written definition as well: ability of muscle group to sustain repeat activity and withstand fatigue. So this is the definition of endurance, that muscle should have the ability to sustain the repetitive activity and sustain the withstand the fatigue, that is tiredness. Okay, so under muscular fitness test, the second category is muscular strength test. Okay, the definition of strength is ability of muscle to overcome external resistance. So under this muscular strength test, how are we going to test this? By using 1 RM bench test, 1 RM leg press, 1 RM squat test. Now you will be thinking, what is 1 RM? 1 RM is 1 repetition max, the maximum amount of repetition, the maximum amount of load which you can bear on your muscles, just 1 repetition of that load. For example, if you are doing a bench press, for example, and you are able to lift 100 kg, so the maximum amount of load with which you can just push the 1 repetition of that exercise. So for example, you can do 6 reps with 80 kg and you can do 4 reps with 100 kg. So maybe you can do 1 rep with 120 kg. I'm just giving a vague example just to get a perspective of that 1 RM. Okay, so third kind of test for checking the muscular fitness is power test, which is also called field test. So here are 4 different kinds of tests for checking the power of your muscles. The first is standing long jump test. Second is vertical jump test. Third is pro agility test, and fourth is 40-yard dash test. Okay, so these tests are basically used for professional people for whom we have to develop the agility, quickness, and reactivity, speed. So these comes for the pro level athletes, for power training also. Okay, so earlier I had said about ventilated threshold. What is that thing? I'll be discussing that now. So I'll say the definition and I'll be reciting my notes, and then I'll be detailing them out. So generally during the submaximal exercise, ventilation increases linearly with O2 consumption, okay, and CO2 production. Ventilatory threshold refers to the point during exercise at which ventilation starts to increase at a faster rate than O2 consumption. The overcompensation in breathing frequency results from an increase in CO2 output related to anaerobic glycolysis. So what happens is, for example, if you are walking and then you start jogging and then you start running, what happens is you will feel the change in your breath. When you're walking, it's completely fine. When you start jogging, you feel a little uncomfortable for while talking, and when you are running, it's difficult to talk for most of the people, like the people who are not conditioned with the exercising and all, body is not conditioned, so they find it difficult to recite something while running. So the point where you are not able to recite, like I am right now, I'm able to talk easily because I am working below the ventilatory threshold 1. And right now, if I start jumping, if I start doing jumping jacks, and then I start to say everything whatever I'm teaching right now, so I may find it difficult. But after doing 3 sets of jumping jack, maybe I'm out of breath and I'm not able to speak comfortably. So what happens is that phenomena is called anaerobic glycolysis, which I'll be discussing later in the chapter. So as of now, I'll tell you it is the basically body needs more energy, so it starts breaking down the glucose into the lactate, and the rate at which we are inhaling oxygen, the exhaling is much more it's more as compared to the inhaling thing. That is why we start feeling out of breath. Okay. So that is ventilatory threshold, where the rate of inhaling where the rate of inhaling and exhaling becomes different. Okay, inhaling is less and exhaling is more. Okay, now comes the sub-maximal talk test. These tests, which I had mentioned in cardiorespiratory fitness test, I'm now detailing them out. To avoid missing the ventilatory threshold 1, exercise increments need to be small, aiming to increase heart rate at each stage by approx 5 beats per minute. Plan to complete this test within 8 to 16 minutes. Once increments are determined, the time needed to reach steady state heart rate should also be determined. Usually that is 60 to 120 seconds per stage. Check the pre-exercise heart rate and blood pressure if necessary. Increase workload by 0.5 mile per hour, that is 1% grade. Okay, this is technical. After weight training, do not do this test due to fatigue and increased metabolism, rendering the test futile. So what this entire thing was that whether whenever we are training, we have to train slowly, like the exercise increments have to be small. If we are, for example, going to increase the repetitions, increase the loads, so that has to be small. Or for example, we are talking about the cardiorespiratory, so when we are asking a client to do a jog, then it's not like from direct jogging to running 5 miles. Okay, it's not like that. So the increments have to be very, very small, so that we are able to uh, test this some maximal talk test for ventilatory threshold. We are able to do this within 8 to 16 minutes. I know, guys, this is overwhelming for you. I'm saying this again because I know when I started reading this and learning this in the starting, it was kind of difficult for me. But trust me, don't worry. Once I finish this chapter, I'll make a separate video for this ventilatory thresholds. Okay, don't worry. So now, what is ventilatory threshold 2? This VT1 and VT2 are very important with respect to exam. Very, very important. So ventilatory threshold 2 is also called lactate threshold or tolerance test or anaerobic threshold. So what is VT2? VT2 is a metabolic marker to determine a client's onset of blood lactate accumulation. It also represents the highest sustainable level of exercise intensity. This test is best performed using HR telemetry. HR is heart rate telemetry, using a heart rate strap or a watch for continuous monitoring. After determining average heart rate at ventilatory threshold 2. Ventilatory threshold 2 is when you are completely out of breath. You are not able to speak, like you have run, for example, 10 miles and now you are running. For example, it's just an example of, you can take an example of doing cycling at gym. You have been doing cycling from last 15-20 minutes at maybe 20 kilometers per hour, or maybe whatever is the maximum amount of maximum amount of force that you can put into. So now you are falling out of breath, or you can take an example of treadmill. You have been running on treadmill at the speed of like 14, 15, and now you're out of breath. So that point is called VT threshold 2, and that is measured using heart rate telemetry like bands or watches. So after determining average heart rate at ventilatory threshold 2, multiply it by 0.95 for accuracy and VT2HR estimate. Field tests are a more convenient and practical way to determine individual heart rate at VT2. So they are more commonly used to determine the heart rate associated with ventilatory threshold 2. And these ventilatory threshold 2 tests are recommended only for the people who are conditioned to exercise. It's not like someone who has just today walking into the gym and you are asking him or her to run a treadmill for next 30 minutes on an average pace of 10 or 15. It's not like that. You don't have to do this testing on deconditioned clients. This VT2 threshold test has to be done on the conditioned clients only. Okay. And who are having performance goal, like I mentioned in the last topic, how to measure your muscular fitness, and I told the last section this power test is only for the people who have performance goals, who need to increase their agility, speed, reactivity, and all. Okay, so like that, VT2 threshold test is only for the people who have some performance goals. Okay, now comes the Rockport fitness walking test, which is also called 1 mile test. 1 mile is equals to 1.6 kilometer. But in US they use mile. In India we use kilometers. It is used to determine the VO2 max from a client's immediate post-workout heart rate. Running is not permitted in this. It is just a walking test. You have to walk for 1.6 kilometers, and after that your heart rate and all are measured immediately after the workout. Just walk and cover 1 mile, which is 1.6 kilometer, as fast as possible, but you don't have to run. This test will underpredict VO2 max in fit individuals. Obviously, the people who are running consistently running, for them the VO2 max will be coming less. And again, VO2 max, I'll explain it. Don't worry. Therefore, it is not appropriate for fit individuals. Now comes 1.5 mile run test. That is 2.4 kilometer. 1.5 mile is 2.4 kilometer. This 1.5 mile run test, this Rockport fitness walking test, these tests are the markers for what? Which I mentioned in the early part of this video is, these are the markers for testing the cardiorespiratory fitness. Okay. And these two tests, the Rockport fitness walking test and 1.5 mile test, this comes under field test. It comes under field test. Okay. So for this 1.5 mile run test, it is used by US Navy to evaluate the cardiovascular and muscular endurance legs. How much endured are your legs? So, and your cardiovascular fitness as well. So you have to run for 1.5 miles, that is 2.4 kilometers continuously. So again, this is also for conditioned clients, not for people who are coming to fitness for the first time. Now comes YMCA submaximal step test. This test comes under what? The step test. There were 4 types of, I'll again say because this is very important, there are 4 types of tests for checking the cardiorespiratory fitness. First is cycle ergometer test, second is ventilator threshold test, third is field test, which I just mentioned, 1.5 mile and Rockport, and fourth is step test, which is YMCA submaximal step test. Okay, so this is usually 3 minutes post exercise. Done post exercise, 3 minutes post the exercise, recovery heart rate is evaluated. Like you are done with the exercise, now you are waiting for the 3 minutes. After that, your recovery heart rate, that heart rate is called recovery heart rate, because your heart rate is recovering from the effects of exercise. Lower the exercising or heavy heart rate. Obviously, lower the exercising or heavy heart rate, higher the level of fitness. Like suppose there's a person who's coming to the gym for the first time. If you ask them to do running on the treadmill, obviously their heart will beat faster. And if that person is compared with a person who is a seasoned person who's coming to the gym from last maybe couple of years, if he is working or she is walking or running on treadmill, obviously there's a huge gap between the heart rate of both the person, because the first one heart is not conditioned to exercise, the second one is very strong, because he or she has been doing the exercise for quite a while. So lower the exercising or heart rate. So that means after exercise, that means they are healthy. They are like fitness is more in them. they're like relatively more fit. The English was not correct. So here what we do is we have a 12-inch step. You have a stepper in gym, you might have seen that 12-inch step, 96 foot placement. You have to step on that. Okay. So it is a 24 step cycle, and up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, like both up, down, up, down, down. At the end of 3 minutes, client is made to sit. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. After the exercise, you don't have to wait for 3 minutes. You have to do this exercise for 3 minutes. I'm sorry for that. At the end of 3 minutes, client is made to sit, and heart rate is checked within the completion. Like you just completed the exercise, you just after completing the exercise, 5 seconds after you completed the exercise, this test has to be done. Okay, count the heart rate for the entire minute, do some cool down to avoid blood pooling in the lower extremities and accelerated heart rate. Continue to observe the client as negative symptoms can arise post exercise. Heart rate is measured through palpation. Like from here you can measure the heart rate, or if you have some devices, so you can measure from them as well. So this YMCA sub-maximal step test is used for what? Is used for measuring the cardiorespiratory fitness. Okay. Now coming to pro agility test. What is this? Ability to accelerate, decelerate, or change direction, or accelerate again after decelerating. So it is also called 20-yard agility test, or it is also called 5-10-5 shuttle run. Like for example, you are starting from this point, you run 5 yard this side, then again 5 yard here, then again this side 5 yard, and back to the original position. So that is why it is called 5-10-5. Okay, this is 5 and this is 5. So first you run 5, then 5 plus 5, and then again 5. So use this as a part of their battery test. Run 5 yard left, then as I said, then 10 yards from there to the right, passing to the center line, and then 5 yards back to the central line. And the second test for measuring this agility is 40-yard dash test. The goal of this test is to determine the acceleration and speed performed extensively for football and other similar sports that require quick burst of speed. Okay, so 40-yard dash test is if we calculate this in meters, this is 37 meters. Okay guys, the video is around 22 minutes. As I said, I'll be wrapping within 20 minutes. The chapter is, I think, complete. Fitness. Okay, fitness test inaccuracy causes. Obviously, when you are measuring the, as I mentioned in this entire chapter, you will be measuring your client's heart rate and all those things. So the results can be inaccurate also sometimes. Obviously, it's not like the results will be every time they'll be accurate. So the reasons can be fatigue, lack of sleep, hydration level. It's very important. Hydration level, food intake before the test, the day before or the morning they took, medication, what medication what equipment they used, the distractions also. Like these days you are seeing people are using mobiles in the gyms, inexperienced trainer because the trainer is not having the knowledge how to do the test and all, failure or improper calibration of the equipment. So these are all the causes that may be the reason behind the inaccurate results. Okay, these were my handwritten notes, and now I have made some notes on my computer as well. Okay, it's very important, very important. So what are the reasons, what are the signs and symptoms that will tell you that you need to immediately terminate the assessment? Like your client is having any kind of problem, I'll be detailing those problems. What are the problems which will tell you that immediately you need to stop that assessment? And the signs and symptoms cause immediate attention. Onset of angina or angina like symptoms. Angina is what is this? Is chest pain or discomfort in chest. Second is systolic blood pressure. There are two types of blood pressure, as you already know, systolic and diastolic. So systolic blood pressure drops by 10 mmHg. mmHg is the unit in which it is measured. Rise in blood pressure over 250 mmHg systolic, or over 115 mmHg diastolic. So systolic, as you know, that systolic and diastolic, systolic is 120, diastolic is 80. So the 120, which is the, like earlier it was used to 120, but now I think for the 6th edition it is, I think, 130. because I gave exam with the 5th edition. So but I think it's 130 now, but please kindly check that. So the thing which is 120 or 130, when it is 250, and the lower thing, the diastolic, which is 80, when it is 115, so that means immediately terminate the assessment. Or the client is telling you that they are feeling lightheadedness, their skin color is changing to pale yellow, there is a coloration around the mouth. Okay, this area which is called cyanosis, it's a blue color thing, like the turns blue. Or they are saying that they are feeling nausea or cold or clammy skin or dizziness, confusion, ataxia, syncope is difficulty in breathing. Okay, leg cramping, they are requesting you to stop, then obviously you have to stop. Physical or verbal sign of severe fatigue or equipment failure. So these are all the reasons. If you see any of these reasons or you hear any of these reasons, you just have to immediately stop the test. Okay. So if we talk about the measurements of the body, which I mentioned in the starting of the video, that is, there are a few measurements like waist to hip ratio and BMI and height and weight. So what is the ranges of BMI? Like underweight, normal weight, overweight, then grade 1 obesity, grade 2 obesity, and grade 3 obesity. So if the BMI is less than 18.5, it is said to be underweight, and it is different for male and females. Okay, so this is, I'm telling you about a standard thing. If the normal weight is between 80, the BMI is between the 18.5 to 24.9, this is called normal. If the BMI is more than 25 and less than 29.9, that is, you can say less than 30, so they are called overweight. And then grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 obesity comes. So if the BMI is more than 30 and less than 34.9, it is grade 1. More than 35 to 39.9 is grade 2, and more than, if the BMI is more than 40, it is grade 3. Okay guys, so I think I have covered this chapter. Yes, so we have completed this chapter, and cause of inaccuracy, perfect. So guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop in your questions, comment, concerns, or if you have any feedback regarding this video or any of the other video from A series, please do let me know. I'll be happy to help. And you can also reach out to me on Instagram with the name, I live there with the name Religiously Fit. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. I hope it helps you, and many wishes for your exam. Thank you. Bye bye.